Vicki Stewart. I was born in Larchwood, Iowa. Have lived in Sioux Falls most of my adult life. Went to college here in Sioux Falls and built my home in 2016. I basically lived in apartments most of my life here in Sioux Falls, and later in life I finally got what was called an accessible apartment, and that really opened my eyes to what possibilities could be. So they had the roll-under sinks and wider bathroom for turnarounds and the lever cranks for the windows and just things that I had never thought about before. So that made me think, well, maybe I could build a home and do even more than what's available. I worked at an independent living center, so I worked a lot with elderly and people with disabilities, and we did home modifications for people. So I learned that way too, what the possibilities were. From the very beginning, I said I wanted an ADA accessible home, but the people that I talked to were like, they really didn't know what that was. So the kitchen, for instance, I said I would really like to just measure my wheelchair and make sure that I can get under the sink, because I'm shorter than most people that use wheelchairs. So probably standard ADA height would still be too tall for me. So we actually physically measured my height and made this kitchen counter, to my specifications. My main things were to make the kitchen more accessible to me, because in my apartments, most of the time, I would transfer from my wheelchair and sit up on the counter to cook or reach things. So that was something that was important, to have a kitchen that I could utilize more. In my kitchen, for instance, the cupboards are lowered, the higher cupboards. The island is all my height. I can roll under the sink with no issues. I tried to have the faucet be as accessible as possible. Most of my apartments, the microwave was above the stove, so I had to kind of stand up as best I could to even get things in and out of the microwave. So now I have that cubby there with the microwave that's very accessible to me.
Our stovetop is just a standard electric glass top stove. All right, it's basically the standard now. You have a glass top, so it's smooth. The stovetop's smooth and glass, and you don't have burners that show or anything. It's a standard stove. The only thing different about this stove than what if I went in and bought a stove now is that all the controls are in front and they're not in the back of the stove. All right, and for some reason, whatever it is, they put all the controls in the back of a stove now, and you have to reach over a bunch of hot stuff to reach your controls. Right. Well, if you're short and you're trying to reach over a bunch of hot pots, it gets. I'm fairly tall, even though I'm in a wheelchair and I got long arms. It's still pretty annoying, to have to reach over a bunch of hot stuff to reach the back of that stove. It's pretty hard. So having those controls in front is a lifesaver.
When I was growing up, we had a freezer on the bottom and a fridge on top. And for some reason, that just seemed more difficult to me. So I chose to have the freezer on top and the refrigerator on the bottom. I definitely don't like the side-by-sides. I just feel like I can't hardly reach anything. To open it with your wheelchair, it's, very difficult.
With a fridge, fridges aren't built for people in wheelchairs. There are some styles that are very expensive that would work great. A dual door fridge freezer, we have freezers on one side and fridges on the other. You open those up and then they have all that space in that doorway so a wheelchair can't get in there and you can't reach back into that fridge. All right. The thing about a freezer being in the bottom is it's great. You can slide that open, you can reach the freezer, but you don't reach the freezer that much. So you open up the fridge and all the stuff's up higher and back in, so it makes the fridge harder to access. The standard fridge on the bottom, freezer on the top tends to be the most accessible. I have a reacher, just a hand reacher that you buy at any store, and we use that to reach into places that we can't reach, or higher places in the cupboard we can't reach. That makes the rest of our cupboards more accessible to things, because I can use that reacher to put things on the upper shelves.
And I think we're very intentional organization-wise too because of that. We really think about what things we rarely use and put those up in the highest shelves, and things we use on a regular basis. It's important to have. I opted not to have a roll-in shower just because I like to take baths as well. So we just have a bathtub with a shower bench and the wand that's movable, so that I can take a shower or a bath with no issues, and it doesn't take up as much space in the bathroom either, not having a roll-in shower. A roll-in sink in the bathroom as well. My drawers are the easy, they shut by themselves once you open them. All of the cupboards, or most of the lower cupboards anyway, all of the drawers pull out so that I don't have to reach back far. I can just pull them out to access my dishes and bowls and all of that kind of thing. So that makes it easier as well. The lever handles I have throughout my home, which are much easier to grip. I don't have to worry about trying to turn a knob. And that's not really an issue for me now, but in the future it might be with arthritis or who knows what. So the lever door handles are very useful to me. And mainly for me, it's everything at my height, I would say. Having like the thermostat accessible to me. In the apartment, it wasn't accessible to me. So that was something that I definitely wanted to include in my home. It was high up on the wall. I couldn't reach it, so I could barely see it, let alone change it. So that was definitely a hindrance to me. When I did the inspection, we went around the home and looked at all the light switches, the thermostat, everything to make sure that it was within reach for me. I kind of did something a little different with the levers or the openings on my cupboard, the handles. I wanted a different look, and we thought by doing them horizontally, it might make it more easy to open and close. So that was a different kind of feature. So the handles on the cupboard are also down low at the lowest part of the cupboard. So again, they can be easily accessed. My windows throughout my home are all lower than most so that I can have a full view sitting in my wheelchair, which I really enjoy. And I've noticed that most of the homes in my HOA, they have smaller windows because they're up higher. So really that's a bonus too, that I have larger windows, even though they're lower. I love the sunshine, and that definitely was part of why I built my home where I did, and the angle that it faces and all that. I mean, we have a lot of sunlight that pours in here in the morning, and having the windows lowered and I can see our backyard, I can see what the weather's doing. It just opens up so much more of the world, I guess, to me than a window that would be too high for me to reach, or even open and close, and still these windows are very difficult to open and close. I thought it would be easier, and I wish it was, but I think it's difficult for you too. And
it's impossible.
Yeah.
They're difficult, and that's the style of windows. Like she said in her apartment, she had windows, she could turn a knob and they would swing open, which made them easily. So in most homes, windows sit quite a bit higher. The home I lived in before I moved here, the windows in the bedrooms and everything, I couldn't see out. They sat up higher than me. So I could almost reach them, and everything, but I couldn't see out of them. I got light in. The nice thing about these windows is they're right down here. We can see out into the yard and everything. And so in a lot of homes, a lot of the windows sit a little higher, especially in bedrooms and stuff. And so the windows, it's just you might not even be able to see out of them. if you're sitting in a wheelchair, you're sitting and that window's up here at your face, or above your eyes, and you can't even see out of them.
Which I think is more confining. You feel like you're kind of trapped in your home in a way, where the windows just open things up so much more. I started looking at condos, twin homes, those kind of things with a realtor. And the more we looked, the more he said, I think you might be better off just building yourself. And then you can build from the ground up and put things in that you want to put in. And so he connected me with Allen Homes, who did the construction. But I still feel that they had a lot of education that they needed as well. I didn't feel like I really had a go-to person in this city that could tell me about universal design or how to make my home the most accessible. And when I did start looking on the internet, that's really all I did, was I started looking at websites and seeing what other people did. And it was my first time buying a home, so there was a lot to it. I really wish that there would have been a person that I could have gone to get more advice. I probably would have done more, to be honest with you. I kind of felt like I was a bother or a burden when I did bring up different things that I wanted to incorporate, because they had never done it before. And you know how people are when you try to change something. And again, I'll give the countertop as that example. I said, well, I think it'd be nice to actually have that all this height so that I could, oh no, you don't want to do that for resale value. That just wouldn't work. So I guess I didn't put up enough of a fight.
I think this home, its resale value is going to be its accessibility anyway, because of the type of homes. It's on a flat lot, it's a flat home, no stairs or anything, and zero entry, wide doors. Its accessibility is what's going to make this home sell.